Yeah, it's great to connect with you, Levi. And I loved hearing your story about your encounter with Jesus.
Yeah.
It just
Um,
got me to thinking of like just how precious our interactions with the Lord are, and how life-giving, how life-changing they are. I know it's true for me. I just interviewed my daughter. In fact, she had her first encounter with Jesus in a dream, and it's just brilliant. So, I would love for you to just go into sharing your encounter with Jesus if you don't mind.
well, from what I know now, I've been encountered when I was really young, just didn't know. Um, I was, I think I was 7. We're in a big conference, and I just started crying for no reason. And my parents asked me, "What's wrong?" I said, "Oh, I hit my elbow." But I did. It was. I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling, what I was experiencing. And the years later, we, I'm from a long line of men, but the years later, I was in a gospel church, and we would the youth boys sit together, and back in those days, someone would stand up, and well, the pastor might have a word in tongue, and somebody would have interpretation, or vice versa, and so we would not proud of it. We would kind of poke fun of it as boys. As, oh, there goes the brother so and so. And then one day, someone said something, and I heard this song. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't. Why am I hearing that in my ear in church? But my goodness, church. And someone stood up, and of course, back in those days, they spoke in King James. They're like, "Thus says the Lord, you have not heard anything yet. What I have." It freaked me out, Daniel.
That's
Because that
that's
was
so
for the
brilliant.
grown-ups. If
Yeah.
it, I knew it was real, but it was for the grown-ups. It was not for me. But so then I kept that like Mary. I kept that on the back burner. Like, okay, something's up with that. And fast forward years later, I don't even remember what I was doing, but Jesus wanted me to know He's very present. And so I was laying in bed, and I just felt this presence, and I opened my eyes. There he was, sitting at the foot of my bed, just looking at me. And he was an adult, but in my eyes, adults were like up here, and I was always cautious about what am I doing wrong if an adult was around. But he was an adult, not judging. He was
That's
an adult who was. Uh, he actually looked happy, and I was like, it's God, how see me.
now
But
say that again because I think I just lost some of your. We had a sketchy connection there for a second. You said he was joyful. He was
oh
happy to
no,
see you. Um, he wasn't
he
like
was
most.
happy to see me. He
Yeah,
looked like he was proud of me, or just
yeah,
I felt important to him,
yeah.
and that was strange. That was strange. But he sat there at me like I was. He had nothing else to do. He didn't have to run the universe or anything, but he just had to hang out with me. And
Yeah.
that was
Y-
one of the first major encounters.
Yeah, here he
I
is running the
I'll
universe, and
have
then he
to tell you
comes
a
and
dream.
yeah, and then he comes and visits you, right? And makes you
Yeah,
just like
let me
you're so
let me
important to
stop
me.
over and yeah. Uh, the good news is I still am
Yeah.
important. Sorry, but so do you have any questions? So for
Well,
me going.
well, I do, and it's interesting. I noticed the picture on the wall behind you, and if you wanted to talk about that or explain what that's all about. I love that little
Oh,
picture.
um, you do?
Yeah,
Okay, well, there's a lot to it actually.
yeah,
That's a ox, and so I'm a big guy. I was a big kid, and I remember junior high. The coaches wanted me to play football. They're like, "Come on out there. Well, come on, man. We'll turn you into a killing machine. You'll just run them down. You'll just, turn you into muscle." And I don't like it. So I'm like,
yeah.
I, I,
What
I
was your
just don't like
response?
that.
Yeah, you didn't like that. You
I
didn't.
said, I don't like hitting people.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't like hitting people. I don't want to do that. And so they nicknamed me Ferdinand the Bull. So instead of out there roughhousing, I'm in the fields, smelling flowers. So I took it. I was like, fine, yeah,
That's
I'll take
wonderful.
that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
But this portrait,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. This portrait is commissioned art. I was, I work at, I'm a recreation guy. I work at camps. And 28, 2018, I was at a camp in Iowa, and a gal there, my name at camp was Ox, my camp. And so she did a sketch of this on paper. So this is you, Ox, and I loved it. And so I asked her to do a painting one. As a matter of fact, she's Wisconsin, not too far from Madison. So that's commissioned art, and that's Ox. And she's not a believer that I know, but somehow and I didn't tell her this story, but somehow she looked at me and she captured that essence. So I was like, girl, you're a true artist. You're telling my story and you don't even know it.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting, Levi, is that when you mentioned the ox, and I remember, like, I looked it up in the Bible about the seraphim, or was it cherubim? I don't remember which, but they had the four
Cherubim.
faces: the lion, the ox, the eagle, and the man. And these, these could even be like symbolic of like what's represented in the gospels, like each gospel kind of taking on a new face of this
Mm,
representation of Christ, right? And the ox being one of them.
mhm.
Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've looked into that, and I could tell you more about that probably another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I have to tell you about an encounter with uh, at least two major life changes. One, I was in a cell group, home group, and we were at time of meditation and encountering. And I leaned back, my eyes closed, and I felt like my eyes were closed, but I felt a presence like right here. And I opened my eyes. So I know I opened my eyes. You can call this a vision or you can call it, but I saw Jesus with my eyes open. And he was right there in my face. And he was looking at me and he was frowning. And, immediately I panicked a little bit. Wait a minute. You're frowning. What's up? What have I done? What have I done? And then I kind of put on a smile back at him and smiled. But I noticed, like how kids do. You have kids, I'm sure you do the face mimicking game. And so we did that for a second, and he communicated without talking or moving his lips. He said, "Why are you frowning when you're in my presence? And why are you so bothered by all the troubles of the world? You have, mind blown." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I repent. I'm sorry." And then he looked directly into my eyes, not a smile or a frown, just looked directly into my eyes. And as I looked into his eyes, I began to see light, and it got brighter and brighter, and it was like lasers that shot into my eyes. And I held that pose. I know on Earth here, I held that for about 5 minutes, just like laser straight into my eyes. And when that was over, I blinked, and I heard him say, "I've corrected the vision." And that's all I heard. I think he likes for me, it is the glory of kings to, or for God to do a mystery, and the glory of kings to let you search it out. So
Yeah. The
I've,
glory of God to conceal a matter and the glory of
to get,
kings to search it out. Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. So he healed your vision, like with his laser eyes, like just the brightness of his presence. I've encountered so many testimonies of Jesus just shining in such glory,
Mm,
that it in the natural it would just like blind you, or like it did for the Apostle Paul, right? He
yeah,
encountered that
yeah, yeah.
bright shining presence of Jesus that blinded him for 3 days, and then so wow, that's amazing. He healed your vision. Was it like
Heal my
your spiritual
inner,
sight?
my
Yeah.
spiritual sight. Yes, I could see with a lot less question, and I could go back. I did this when I was a kid, but um, I could go back into dreams, or I could speak in dreams. I could be alive in dreams and
Hmm.
declare what I needed to, or if I was scared, I could run out or holler Jesus. Yeah. So he
That's
did
amazing. You know how
both.
God meets us in our dream world. I mean, that's how my daughter encountered Jesus, and I've encountered
Mm,
Jesus many times in my dreams as well. And I love even that, like you're awake or alive in your dreams. Like I mean, there's a name for it, like lucid dreaming,
mm.
right? And that's just part of being human, and that too is just a tremendous gift for development of our insight and wisdom, revelation coming through that, all kinds of things. So
So I can tell you one more. Fine.
wonderful.
Um, so this was a dream of, and I know it was a dream. Um, I was, no, I think it was, I think it was a vision, but it was back in 11, uh, and I saw the Lord walking down a path in a garden, and he had a big bucket, a 5-gallon white bucket, and he would dip a gourd, the plant, the hollowed out plant gourd. He would dip that, fling water, and fling, and the flowers and the flowers were alive. The plants were alive. They would enjoy. Oh wow, wow! You could hear them like a big crowd. For me, because I work with kids, it was like a big uh, audience of kids just having a good old time. And so they were just loving what he was sprinkling. And
Yeah.
then every so often, look at something, a particular plant. Maybe it wasn't doing too well, but for some reason it needed special attention. Squat down, get a dip of water. He would till the soil around the roots, pour out, you know, give it special attention, pat the ground, whatever. And then he'd stand up and start to fling and fling again, water. And
Mm.
then I heard him say, Gordon, Gordon Levi. And I looked, and that was me. I was the I was the gourd in his hand, and
Wow.
I looked like this gourd, and I had this smiling face. I was looking right up at him with a smiling face, big bright eyes, and said, "I want you." And he was smiling, kind of almost snickering, but he said, "I want you to nourish my children and water my people in bird." No, it was backwards. Water my people and nourish my children, my bird.
Oh,
And
that's
I was like,
beautiful.
oh, wow. And that has been my, that's it. That's my calling. That's my life.
Yeah.
You kind of, uh, I've taught kids since I was a kid, and Sunday school or children's church uh, or environmental science, whatever. And but that kind of sealed it because I think at that point I was going back to college and I was um, um, I was thinking about that, but I was thinking of a grown-up career. you
Hmm, yeah.
know, okay, grown-up career. Come on, you need to talk kids. You can do that on the side, but you need to. But no, that was the beginnings of my ordination.
That's
Uh,
wonderful. Like ordained by the Lord. This is your
absolutely,
calling. Yeah. To
absolutely.
water my people, nourish my children. I just want to share a dream recently that I had that I felt like the Lord reminding me of as we were talking when you talked about being in camps and teaching children and stuff. Like I had a dream recently about camps just being filled to the hilt, and
Yes,
people would stay an extra. Like they wouldn't just come for that week, but they would like, can I be here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? They would just extend it. This time of building relationships and
yeah,
develop their connection with the Lord and with each other mainly too. This is what the Lord wants. And even romances were blossoming too. It's all okay. I know
imagine.
it kind of gets sketchy
Absolutely.
though, like, like as like camp leaders, you're like, you want to control and curb that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's okay for people to like meet their future mates at camp and things like this. And that's a beautiful aspect of it too. That's what I was seeing in my dream. But it's mainly just about these relationships and just like what the Lord was doing in these camps and like that they were packed. And I'm like, oh, yes, I'm going to say amen to that, Lord. Amen to that. And I see like even next year, this is going to happen. Like I'm seeing like an explosion of an awakening across America of people coming to Jesus. And, almost as like a response to all the dark things that are happening. It's like
Mm.
people are getting shaken awake. Like, hey, do you want this evil track or path that people have planned out for you? Or are you going to seek me and receive all the life that I want to pour into you and even pour into America and the people's lives? And camps are going to play a big role in that. I believe. I see that.
Yeah, yeah. It's been really. I love that. I will share that with friends. It's been really hard on camps this pandemic.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to support camps as well. Like cuz beautiful things are happening, life-changing
Yes.
things are happening at camp. So, and anybody who's listening, please, what can we do to help? What can we do to support this? How can we even go as families, to family camp? Like this has been a blessing for me and my family, being part of this family camp. And my wife and I have got to lead worship for these things as well. We're worship leaders. We love that. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Camp is I came to a point after grad school um, uh, where I got a I got a good state job, lots of benefits, good paying job. I was up in Minnesota, where winter comes from. It's a different world. You don't understand, man. It's a different world for a Texan. That's that's in frozen lakes. But anyway, I loved it. But the Lord actually sat me down. I was beginning career path. I was, you know, earning and doing. But is this really what you want? Because I can bless it. And that's another thing that's changed in Lord is changing in our relationship. I always look at it as what is the one thing, the one path, or your word for me? What do you want me to do? It just for a while it freaks me out when he gives me options. and saying, I trust you. I invested my screw off myself. So whatever you wanted to do, I'll support you, man.
Yeah.
And that's not the Jesus I grew up hearing about in church. So that took me a
Yeah.
long time
Yeah.
to what do you feel about that?
Oh, I agree with you.
Mm,
That is that is Jesus' perspective. It's like
mm-hmm.
I found my calling, like one avenue of my calling in bringing music into nursing homes. And that's what I did for the last decade or more now, on a daily basis, putting on concerts in nursing homes. And I love that. That's like very near and dear to my heart. But like during that, I started to get into like side jobs, like learning how to tune pianos. And I heard the angels say to me, they're like, "Well, you could do that." Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you'd want to, because we have so much better for you, but you could do that. And it's still a side job that the Lord
Mm-hmm.
does, bless to bring in income, especially during this year. I've needed
Mm-hmm.
some other sources of income because all the nursing homes shut down.
Right.
And I've been almost unemployed. My friend actually offered me a landscaping job, so I did that for a little while. But even that, did I need to? No, I don't believe I would have needed to if I had heeded the Lord and like what we could have done with the last year. I
Mm-hmm.
think I wasted some time, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I made some money and tried to support my family, even though I wasn't even doing but ultimately the real blessing in financially in our lives has come from people donating to our ministry. Like they've seen like I don't know, maybe the years we put in and like, hey, we want to support you during this time of hardship for you, you know.
Right on.
And so
That's
it's been really
encouraging.
cool. Yeah.
Encouraging for me. That's the next thing that,
Yeah, exactly.
that I'm nervous about.
Yeah. So I just want to pray for you too. I just bless you, Levi,
Oh,
with just the financial blessing of the Lord. Like where the Lord guides, He provides, as well. And I'd love to connect people to your ministry as well. Like, I'm wondering, is there a way for people to connect with you? Like, is it just like on Facebook, friend
um,
request, or what? Do you have a page or anything like that?
I'm supposed to be ready, but I'm not. I'm starting to get things together, uh, but I'm not 100% ready yet.
All right. Well, I
But
think,
yes, you can connect with me on my my Facebook or
yeah,
message Ox Levi.
yeah, Ox
Yeah.
Levi. That's great. I'm so happy to have met you, uh,
Oh man,
Levi,
likewise.
and just to, you've been a blessing to me, and I trust I've been a blessing to you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've been saying to the Lord, uh, I don't have anyone to talk to share um, this mystic type faith.
right.
You brought me way out here, uh, and but I don't have that support around here. And as he does, he just lets me vent and sits quietly, lovingly, and then he says, "Okay, try this." I sent you a message. Started talking after that.
Yeah,
So he's done that with others since then, actually. So
yeah. Just trust his calling and like the connections he leads you to, because he's done that for
mm,
me in so many ways. Like he has divine appointments set up for us. Every day can be like this magical adventure if we let him take the lead in like this dance, with the spirit of the Lord. Um,
right
yeah, and
on.
I'd love to help encourage you in any way that you could use it, and just even little tidbit advice things. I don't even know how I can help you, but
All right. Yes, I will definitely lean on you for that, brother.
thanks. Yeah.
Um, I have a thing. I forgot where I was.
Yeah, I'd just love to hear more about your just relationship with the Lord, and
Oh, okay.
even even advice for people to connect with Jesus as well.
Mm.
Because I think that hearing stories about, you connecting with Jesus in such a way that you have throughout your life, um, I think hopefully it makes people like hungry. That's the whole point of why I'm sharing these stories to begin with, is like, get hungry for your own encounter with Jesus. What's some advice that you have to help people encounter Jesus for themselves?
Um, well, my advice would be yes. That's it. Say yes.
Okay.
Um, say yes to him. This, I am far away from the religious upbringing that I had. And even till this day, when the Lord has demonstrated time and time again um, uh, where He's taken it, and that was for that time. That was for, the perfect example. He doesn't want me to hate on the tradition or the past for me. He said, you're a teacher. Think of it like school. Uh, third grade was great. It was awesome. You learned what you need to learn then, but don't deny fourth grade. No, let yourself graduate. Let me call you on graduate,
Yeah.
and then comes fifth grade, and then high school, whatever else. And also, um, I'm learning something about the opposite. Also, if you are in 10th grade, don't try to force something on a third grade or someone
Mm.
who's not, and not that anyone's less than, but don't try to force your understanding. Sometimes it's just between you and Jesus, and that's cool. Uh,
All right. Can you say
you'll
that
look
last part
around and
again? I would love
I
to
said,
hear you say that last part again. I kind of missed it.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. I said, I'm learning, don't try to force your understanding on others
Yeah.
because he has all of us in his hand where he wants it. And
Right.
we each progress differently.
Right.
And he showed me a picture of the old one one house classroom,
Yeah.
um, and how they have had family in the classroom. They have had upperclassmen with lowerclassmen and elementary and kids coloring in the corner. So they were all in the same, and that's like our body. And sometimes you'll um, uh, do something that's unilateral, that goes for everyone. But it's not up to me to teach my algebra to uh, second grader.
Yeah. That's a
So I'll.
really, really good word. Because honestly, like even through my nursing home ministry, I've had to keep it like really simple. I don't get into anything like mystical or stuff that would
Mhm,
spook them or,
mhm,
cause them to like, ooh, red flag, and all this stuff. Or, oh, is that new age? No, it's actually just Jesus age. Okay. That's what
mhm,
but I don't get into that in a lot of venues. I mean, like my own channel, of course, is like for Christian mystics. It's called the Christian Mystic, so it's we're progressing, in a higher class, I think, but
right.
equally as valid is everything else. I was really helped
Absolutely.
actually by one guy I interviewed, Aaron Abke, and he talked about that. He said the Christian fundamentalist, you know, they're at like that's equally valid stage of a person's development. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, yes, it
Mhm.
is. And that's exactly what you're saying. And it was very important that you said that. I really feel that.
Um, uh, what did you say? Peter, only the Father has revealed it to you. Meaning it's just God revealing it to me. And my natural inclination was the other way. But yeah,
Yeah.
in time I've let him persuade.
Yeah. And being
But,
sensitive to where other people are at is really good. And
right,
not being so self-absorbed that your truth is the only truth and everybody has to know what you know or
right,
whatever. Because at the end of
right.
the day, is it really about what any of us know? No. It's about him loving, God loving us and us loving one another and being sensitive to one another. So good word.
So yeah, that would be my advice. My advice. The reason I said say yes is um, when I had a bad habit. Forgive me. I hope I still don't. I have a bad habit of saying no to the Lord if He does something I don't expect. Like from the first story I told you, sitting in church with my buddies and hearing the interpretation. Oh no, no, it's not for me. No. Um, so when Jesus tries to tell me anything new, uh, used to be, oh, would, respond with, oh no, no, this isn't right. It's funny. Um, uh, I could picture this. I could feel either him or a big angel grab my mouth like this, like your mother would. I started to, the Lord gave me some understanding, or He said something, and I started to rebuke that. That's what
Mm.
we did. I rebuked that, and no, that's not the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So He had
Good.
to correct.
Yeah.
um. So yeah. Anyway, that's where that is.
That's a
I'll
good
let you ask
word.
the questions.
No, that's a good word,
Thank
Levi, about, just like, hey, the Lord is so expansive. There's such mystery here. That's why I love that word, like mystic, because it's like we're embracing the mystery. We're letting go of the grip of our certainty
you.
into the care of our good shepherd and overseer of our souls, which is something that I love to share with people because this has become like the foundation for my healthy spirituality. Is just trusting the mystery of God, namely Christ. And the word there is mysterion, which is like it's God's secret, but it's openly declared. But it's even though it's openly declared, it's like you have to have the grace of Holy Spirit to comprehend it. Like otherwise, it just remains like this mystery, this enigma. But it's like once you once you start embracing the mystery, it's like, okay, you realize how much you didn't know and how not really valuable all the stuff you knew really was compared to this eternal love. My friend shares this amazing vision. I would love to share it with you. He shares this a vision at a time in his life, and he had studied the scriptures. He grew up in church. He was preaching on the streets. He was just a diehard Jesus person. He actually lived at Jesus People community
Oh,
in Chicago. So this is kind of where his background was, and he came to this place in his spirituality when he saw all these things, the structures of facts and beliefs that he had held, and he was like, yes, this is so you know, I just feel so confident in this. And then he witnessed like this vision of all of these structures just crumbling and like the shaking, and it all just crumbled to ash. And he's like, no, and at the end of the day, what he saw was this orb of light, and it was eternal, perfect love.
mm,
It's God himself. It's the I am. It's our source. It's Father and his love. Father and his love. And so it just it just shook him to the core, and it helped him to drop a lot of his grip on certainty, that fundamentalism, right? That fundamentalism that he was so sure of, and ultimately it made him into a loving person, because you can be a real religious prick when you're just gripped onto that certainty and that fundamentalism. You can be a religious prick, right? And you can
Mm-hmm.
misrepresent the real true Jesus. And so this encounter just helped to shake all that and bring it back to love. Love. Those who live in God, and God in them. So
Dude, said love. That that got me. Because the Lord, I'm friendly, and I can I love that. I like person kind of, and I thought I was loving, and it wasn't too long ago, a few years ago, that the Holy Spirit spoke to me just gently. Still don't.
you still
It's
don't
like,
love them? That's what he said?
no, no. He says, still don't believe I love you.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I should have a mic.
that's the most important first step, isn't it? Is
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah.
But I thought, well, this time I had to argue. Wait a minute. I know you love me. You love me. And I love you. And that's what this relationship is about. I seek you. I pray to you, others, and I work in church, and I do this and that. But this, and with me, yeah, it takes time. uh, just because it wasn't like I didn't get it all right then. But over time, the summary of it was this: I love as I love myself,
Mm.
because, and then I started, doing math and algebra formulas coming into it. A, the reflexive identity of A equals B and D, A, then like you are in me and I in you. And I always thought of that as, that's good. I'm not sure what Paul was talking about, but that's good poetic language. That's good spiritual language. But that in and that love for himself, that love for the his selves, his facets, love for all creation and all that.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I totally want to
that's
highlight
another
some of those
level.
things. I want to highlight some of those things you were saying, because it's like that's
Okay.
so precious to me. First of all, that we're all facets of him, facets of his being that he loves just like he loves himself with the same love. Like this is John 17. The Father loves you as much as he loves his own son Jesus, that he's revealing that perfect love. I love you as I love myself. Um, yeah. And then too, you mentioned I am in you and you are in me. We are one. John
Yeah.
John 14:20.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
that's
huge.
huge. Wow.
I
What a
tell you, I've been stuck on John 3:16 for years now.
uh,
The first part. For God so I know he loved the world. I'm gonna get to that part one day. But for God so and he gave me a picture in understanding. I'm the youngest of my brothers, so I was trying to defend myself against a bully on the playground, and my big brother showed up and just shoved the bully away and pulled me to himself. And in actuality, it was my big mouth that started the fight. I was probably talking smack first, but it was all my fault. And I knew that in the mission, and the Lord says, I don't care. My love for you isn't going to be fair. It's not even fair how much I love you. I'm not going to look for who started what. I'm going to take you to myself first. And
mm,
like, oh, I you know, And he didn't tell me that to shame me, that he didn't that I didn't understand love. Although I could feel some longing, maybe a little heartbreak. Oh, but he told me that because he made me do that, and he prayed to that. Oh, and I don't know. Let me throw this at you. When I say understanding, understanding for me it comes, but sometimes I guess I don't know. I've been told I was reckless because I don't have to understand everything before. I don't fully understand, and I just accept
Yeah.
because over time he's taught me his voice. And if I'm not sure of things, I'm sure it's his voice. You know, I kind of I don't compare myself with Father Abraham, but he knew that he knew that he knew that the voice of Elohim told him to go sacrifice his son. You know, he knew that he knew that he knew. And so sometimes Lord calls me to do things. I know that I know that I know, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up. It doesn't. Well-meaning family and Christian friends like, what are you doing? You know, like I'm pretty sure I don't know, but I know I've got to go. No, you're supposed to wait until he heals. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to go in here. And uh, some things I guess I'll never. Uh, I don't know. What's your advice, Daniel?
Oh, I love that scripture where it says, "My sheep hear my voice and they follow me."
Yeah,
And that's what I see you doing. Like, great, and I've made some really risky moves that wrecked me, in obedience to the Lord. Like I was following what he said to do, and it
mm-hmm.
ended up like in everybody's eyes a disaster. But at the same time, it probably broke a lot of things off my life. It reshaped me and course corrected me in such a beautiful way that here I am today. And it's like the Lord's fashioning me. I'm the clay in his hands. And so like even those things that might seem really risky to put out there into the world, even like I'm doing a radio show here, a podcast, right? And I share some things here that I know I'm going to get flack from Christians about, you know, because it's stuff that I've seen in visions and stuff that, because here's what I know. I know that Jesus wants to build bridges with those in the New Age world.
Mm-hmm.
When every Christian that you ask wants to burn every bridge to every New Age person, Jesus wants to build bridges with those New Age people, you know? And so he's actually shown me like the ways that in the New Age, like they are actually right about things, and Jesus wants to affirm those right things
Mm-hmm.
and build bridges and build relationship. And he's actually saying, Christians, hey, my children, you're actually forsaking a lot of your birthright because you're calling it New Age.
Mm-hmm.
You're forsaking your birthright because you're calling it New Age. So that's risky to put all
Yeah,
that out there.
yeah.
And because I get called New Age all the time on my show.
Uh, you
But
know,
I love Jesus. And I'm just
yeah,
getting revelation from the Father, and I'm doing
yeah.
my best here to just try to, deliver what he has me to share and try to like, okay, do as Jesus did. We do what the Father's doing, right? We hear what the Father's saying and we say that, right? And if he has a
Mm-hmm.
message that wants to go out, he'll put it on your heart to have it go out. And it's like, okay, you leave the results with him. So that's been my
You know,
experience.
I I heard something funny just today, but uh, was it someone? It's really funny. Guy said, he said atheist, and he says no. Christian. He says, I'm an atheist. That means I don't believe in 7,853 gods. I don't believe in any of them. Now, Christians are really close to atheists. They don't believe in 7,852. They're really close. But what you remind me of was Paul on Mars Hill. He could have gone and said, heathen worship this and that and the other. Just, hey, I perceive you guys are looking for God. You're searching for God, and that's commendable. In fact, I saw your memorial to the unknown God. Let me tell you all about it. And just
Yeah.
when he got in like that, And so what I'm learning about, it's not okay. Well, this is I don't know how this will sound to you, but it's not us and them. It's like us.
Yeah.
We are. There's not a one of them that are not in His image. There was a time when I felt justified. I wanted to hate someone or some group, and the Lord spoke to me. Sometimes He speaks nicely. Sometimes He speaks through His teeth. But He spoke to me. He says, "You are free to hate anyone not made.
Oh, that's good. You're
Anyone
you're you're free
who
to
I
not to hate anyone that's not made in my image, he said.
yeah,
Wow.
or anyone who my blood didn't die for, or I didn't die for on the cross."
Aw. Aw.
Oh yeah, talk about okay. I need to backpedal this one and think about myself.
No. That's really
Yeah,
sweet. And here's a couple thoughts that came to mind. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today, so I'm thinking, and it's probably appropriate to share with you even now. Like
okay.
I would go hang out at this church because they had a coffee shop in their lobby, and it's like, hey, donate if you want, and it just was beautiful space. There's music going on. I would just go there and write a song. I've written songs there that have ended up on my CDs in that lobby of that church. And they have a man there who serves faithfully at that church as a cook. He will create whole dinners for people, and he's got a heart for the homeless, and even and he bakes all the cookies for the little coffee shop, and I've met him several times, and he will tell me every time we talk, he says, yeah, I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist. And I'm like,
Oh,
dude, you have no idea how not an atheist you are, because you, like I said before, all who live in love live in God and God in them. Like this guy has God living in and through him, and he's found this community in this church to serve, to just give this love that he's got in his heart
mm,
away. But like in his mind, he's an atheist. I have another friend. He's a beautiful soul, and he says, "I'm not a believer." I'm like, dude, you're such a beautiful soul. Like I know you're in the stage where you're at, thinking what you think, thinking that you're not a believer right now, and that's fine. That's here. You're here for us to be part of our community as a non-believer, but like I like just embrace him. I love him. And it's beautiful, and that's way better than you know this whole I heard this joke about this atheist, and they're like, um let me see if I can remember how it goes, but it's a funny joke, but it's like, this is not exactly the heart we should have. It's like this guy, you know he believes, not he doesn't believe in God, but he believes in reincarnation. And so this Christian comes up to him and says, well, I hope that in your next life you come back as a tree, because I'm going to cut you down and print the Bible on you.
no.
And I'm like, it's a funny joke, but it's like, this is not the heart that Jesus has for his children who
Mm,
just don't quite get it yet, or aren't experiencing the full embrace of the Father, the love of the Father. It's all about the prodigal just running back into the arms of the Father. And he's there with open arms. He's like, come here, son. Come here.
mm.
I love you, And Jesus, of course, came to show that and to prove that on a cross. So,
Someone said that recently. kind of thing. And, I think it was after so this guy said, nothing is worse for our future success than our past success.
Hmm.
Um, and so in the past, going on what you're just saying, in the past, I've heard still love the old tent meeting evangelist, and they would holler at you, "Hey, sinner," my favorite guy. But and there was a way that I don't fully understand that yet, but there was a way that God had things go that generation. There was a way that a method that reached them. Even when we did missions work across the border to Mexico, there's a way that reaches certain people, and that may not be the same way that reaches others, or that may not be the same way that reaches this generation.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm going back to I'm really talking to, it's I've got to be grateful for that, for the past. I've got to be thankful to God for the past. I mean, that's our foundation. Uh, uh, but I can't let that hold me up. You don't lay a slab or do the here's the beam, just live on that. You got to build the house. You got to progress with the
Yeah.
edifice.
Yeah. You're reminding me of that statement about that their ceiling is our floor. That's a good way to look at it. And
Our,
also, you're reminding me too of some theologian friends that I have who are like, well, what about being a follower of Jesus? What if you identify as New Age or whatever, but you're a follower of Jesus? Can you be a New Age follower of Jesus? Can you be a Buddhist follower of Jesus? What about a Muslim follower of Jesus? Like what if it's like you're in that culture and your culture is Muslim or whatever, but you're a follower of Jesus? Isn't that the most important part of it? And that's kind of the question that they were proposing. And I was like, that gives me something to think about. It kind of it goes, it goes against the whole former thinking of, like, when missionaries came to the America, for instance, and they were converting Native Americans by cutting their hair, putting them in boarding school, teaching them English, making them wear white man's clothing, because you're not a Christian unless you look like us and you're part of this Christian culture. You must be Christianized and take on your Christian name. And I look at that and it's like, that's blasphemy. Blasphemy, because I believe that they were worshiping, a lot of them, the truest ones. If they were truly spiritually hungry, God was meeting them and they knew about the Great Spirit and they worshiped around their fires to the beat of a drum, the living God. That's what I believe, you know? So what were these missionaries really offering, at the end of the day? Not the clearest picture of Jesus, that's for darn sure, in a lot of circumstances. So we do need to rethink that, um, and I don't know, give that some
you know,
more.
and with some people, I at this church in Iowa, which is really a church, adventure church. But um, the an elder came up to me, or as I walked in the door, he handed me a thing. Said, "I wanted to talk to you." I'd been there a couple times, a friend of a coworker, and he said, "I wanted to talk to you. Um, I don't know how you feel." He was kind of apologetic. He thought this would be awkward. He said, "I don't know how you feel about uh, God saying things." I said, "Oh, please, I'm all ears. Yes, I believe." And he says, "Well, the Lord showed me a picture, and you were working on a railroad. You were working on the tracks miles ahead of the train." And he says, uh, uh, "Your job was to build the tracks so that we could follow." And he said, "But don't worry about the people on the train. or don't worry about who's not around you. We're coming. Just, your job is to build tracks. He was encouraging me to
Yeah.
not have my eyes on who's not with me or who doesn't think like me or who, my reality is laying tracks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. That's what I needed to hear. That's
That
what I
that
needed to hear.
really that really speaks to me because I had a dream one time where I was in heaven and I was laying tracks. I was working on the railroad laying tracks. And the train came up and just stopped there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't get any farther. And they're like,
Oh,
oh, and everybody was like, oh no, it's okay. You're doing great. You're wonderful. And then I proceeded to have just this amazing encounter with with the Lord. Um, so um, which I don't need to share here, but that's how the dream started. It was about laying tracks. So it's like, oh my
right.
gosh, so cool.
Right. Um, any other questions?
No, I was just thinking we could have some awkward silence and just stare at each other. No.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. um,
Anyway,
uh, I
Levi,
was.
I really love your faith, and
Oh, thank you.
I was thinking today about like just having a faith worth exporting. I wanted to just ask some of these, because I'm troubled by some of these preachers who, you know, who are like ex-Christian and they'll like, share some expert nonsense that they've filled their heads with and actually have steered people away from faith,
Mm,
with certain things. I'm just like, why are you trying to spread this? What is your goal? Like, would you want children to adopt your faith? Do you have a faith worth exporting? Are you
mm,
pointing people to Jesus? I
mm,
mean, and one pastor in particular has met Jesus, encountered Jesus. Jesus walked up to him and revealed himself to him, in a vision. And now he just kind of writes that off. Oh, that was just probably just my higher self or something,
uh,
stopping in for an appearance. It's like, well, I will tell you this, that Christ is our highest self. But
amen.
he has
Amen.
his own
Amen.
personality. He is a person that we can know for real. And that's what this interview is all about with you, Levi. Is like Jesus is someone that we can really know. And that's what I want to impart to people. I want people to know Jesus and have their own encounters. Pray for pray to meet him in a dream. He'll probably do that for you. Oftentimes
Yeah.
when I pray to have some sort of God dream, he'll give me a dream that will show me something or teach me something. And I've encountered Jesus in dreams, and he set me free from spiritual oppression, from evil spirits in dreams, as well, and all kinds of stuff.
My favorite scripture, James, is uh, still and know. Psalms 46:10. Still and know that I am God. More often, I grew up, or I spent a lot of my years in a evangelical type where you had to go witness one, and but getting to really know God, and he shut that down for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He shut that down because I was focused on work and not him. I was focused on going out, but not up.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, so I'm getting to know him, and no regrets. But I was going to say, more often than not, he uh, tells me, just hold your peace, pray about them, pray for them. I I don't want you to engage conversation. I don't want you to do that. Which is in the past, if I would hear anything like that, that would be a cop out. That would be fear. Knowing Jesus, like I want you to. This is not your harvest. I want you to water, just water, and water, kind of thing.
Right. Serve your
Yeah,
function. Be that
yeah,
gourd. Water
mm,
and
be
nurture my
the core.
children. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back to 2018. I He got me to the point where I was like, okay, teaching about the environment, the outdoors. That's where I want. That's what I want. And so I gave up that job and I went. to work at camps, and it's seasonal work. And they looked at the application like, really? Are you sure you want to? Because you got this. We can only pay you this. That's fine. This is what I need to do. So I worked at one place in the spring. I got to see the Midwest. I did the Midwest tour. I got Indiana in spring, Iowa summer, and then Wisconsin in the fall. East Troy, Camp Timberlake, beautiful place. And so I was working there, and I stayed there. They were hiring for a long term, and I loved it. Worked at Science Education Center. I got to deal with kids and school groups and um, animals. We had a whole bunch of reptiles, a whole bunch of mammals. It's just a wonderful time. I got to do stargazing, and I love to look at the wonders in the night sky that the Lord and all that. And there were a lot of school groups, public school groups, but there were also a lot of Christian. I got to share faith. There was a beautiful uh, uh, called I forget called the Creation Walk. Different rooms with multimedia things showing you each day of creation. It's wonderful. People come back time and time again. Just that. Anyway, so as things time went by, my director signed, and a position came open, and I was interested, and I thought qualified. So I went to the first interview. It's good. I with the executive, and with the second interview, and between the second and the third, the Lord said, "I have something else for you. Not this." I was crushed, man. I was like, I finally am getting to where. Are you sure? It's one of those things where you like, shouldn't, but you ask Jesus if you're sure.
Yeah.
And so uh, eventually, that was not where he wanted me to go, and I had to resign 2019. And we know what happened in 2020. Um, but he kept showing me Arizona. I would wake up 3 a.m. and just face west, Arizona. I said, I don't know anybody or anything. I've never been out there, desert. Um, but he kept saying Arizona. Um, what clinched it was I was in this thrift store, and I bought this funny little mug that had a ridge across it. It was called a mustache mug. So you can drink your coffee and not get milk on your mustache or coffee on your mustache. And so I didn't have my glasses on. So when I went up to pay, I put my glasses on to see the machine and all that. And I was in the middle of Delavan, Troy, somewhere there in Wisconsin. And this was an Arizona mug. It had the Capitol and all the different places in Arizona. I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord, I hear you. Okay, I hear you. I will go to Arizona. So well, uh, sometime later I asked him, what do you want me to do there? He says, I want to pour you out on the land as a drink offering. And I was like, oh, well, first, I was not glad at first because my first thought was Paul and Silas. I think that's where I remember him talking about being poured out. Like, I'm not feeling prison. I'm not feeling chains and all that. But I looked it up, and a drink offering was like when you go to offer your burnt offering, your sin offering, and whatever else. If you're extra grateful to the Lord, you take a spice wine mix and pour it on the meat is burning, and it's an extra pleasing aroma to the Lord. And I'm having getting tired just thinking about it. But so he sent me there, and I got to serve with a ministry there. But he called me, or at one point I was like, okay, Lord, I know you have something for me to do here with Native Americans, and I don't know what. And so I went to a reservation, and the they are super. Uh, I guess they're more vulnerable to the COVID-19, so they are restriction is very tight there. I mean, they had like it looked like third row checkpoints with guards. Cannot get off the highway unless you had the tribal ID. So did what anybody else would do. The casino was open, so I went to the casino and I sat outside the casino. I was like, I am not a casino person. I get it. I hate if I lose a quarter. So I sat there. I said, well, Lord, I guess I'm asking for something, a divine appointment. I'm going to touch the ground and intercede and see what you do. And as I parked at a gas station across the way from the casino, a Native American lady pulled up next to me and started talking to me. And Daniel, we struck up a conversation, and she taught me some songs that she knew from her childhood in Apache, some church songs, some Christian songs that she knew in Apache. She called me. I can send you the video sometime. She told me to come and meet her there the next day, and I met her there, and she had handmade a turquoise necklace and presented it to me. And she said, and this, I didn't know, she didn't strike me as a apostle or I don't even know if she went to church, but she did have the Bible in her car. And she said to me, have entered the land and you have blessed our people. Now it's time for you to do what the Lord is supposed to. And like,
now say that last part again. I missed it because it cut out. But
oh, I'm sorry.
I want to hear what she said to you, or like there was a prayer, a blessing.
Yeah, she said she placed the necklace. She told me bend over because she was short, but she put the thing on me, and the necklace that you have encountered our people, and you have blessed the land, and now it's time for you to go. And you hear it that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've encountered my people. You've blessed the land. Time to go.
And now it's time for you to go. Lord, which at the time he was calling me from there too. But of course, again, I was getting comfortable. I liked where I was. I was getting used to the environment, the kids I was working with, and all that. And I didn't want to leave, and I didn't want to hear it. It was kind of like, are you sure? When's the right time? Things are going good here. And so
that's so interesting that you're called to this place, and just for that encounter, perhaps just to bless and pray, and like the Lord honored it to such a degree, it's like something mighty happened in like the heavenlies. I don't even know, like we don't know all that occurs just by our obedience to do something. It reminds me of a story of who was it? Oh, lady, and I'll probably remember her name, Kat Care. She was told, buy a plane ticket and fly to this city, and you'll meet a man in the cafe at the airport cafe, and deliver this message to him. And so she, out of obedience, just does it. She spends all this money, to get a plane ticket, meets this man in a cafe, drops the letter and says, I gotta go catch my flight, because it's like the return flight, like right away or whatever. And he's like, no, wait. And then he reads it, and then he like bursts out in tears, and it's like, this is the answer that I needed. I was just sitting here praying, and this is the answer. Like, it was about moving forward with an invention. Like, should I patent this invention? And the Lord was saying, yes. to this man and just used cat care in such a beautiful way. But she took a huge risk and investment of
Yeah.
money and time to just do this simple act of obedience. But you don't know all the ripple effects of that. I mean, first of all, I'm sharing this story. The ripple effect is now you go and do likewise, everyone who's watching. You know, you get to have a glorious adventure with the Lord. And it might include booking a flight. Of course, he's going to take care where God guides, he provides. You know, don't worry about the, you know, don't be a penny pincher miser. You know, this is like something I've had to
Our dad's
overcome.
loaded.
Yeah. Our dad is loaded. You were a trust fund kid, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's all good news. All
Yeah.
good news with the Lord.
So I'm not 100% sure about the Native American people, but I honor them and had me do that ever since Minnesota. But the land, because of my love for nature and the outdoors and the, the science of it and all of that, um, to do things on that, be I don't know, light where he wants it, where he wants light. I kind of think of it as there's a thing where before President lands, a president of the U.S., either in the helicopter or the plane, there must be a Marine presence. You
Yeah.
know, there'll be a Marine standing before that thing touches down. You
Yeah.
know, the environment secure. And I think he sends some of us just to be there if he's about to land into something.
That's
You know,
amazing. Well, I would love to connect you with some of my dear friends who live in Arizona, just for future reference. If you're ever
okay,
led back to Arizona, I know you're going to Houston,
yeah,
and I really want to introduce you to one of my friends who lives in Houston. I believe he lives in Houston,
oh, good,
and
good.
he does have exactly what you were asking about ascending. He has a ministry called Flying Penguins, and he gets some guys together, and they just seek the Lord and operate in the gifts, and it's totally supernatural and wonderful. His name's Martin. I believe his last name's Smith, Martin Smith. But I've interviewed him on this show about some really mystical encounters he's had with Jesus and about his ministry. And it's really brilliant.
I will look him up.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you a link to him.
Oh, great.
I'm going to send you a link to some of these other friends too. It's all
Great.
about these connections the Lord's wanting to make and just like,
Mm,
hey, how can we help you fulfill your calling? Levi?
mm, right on.
Yeah. Ox, Levi, how can I help you fulfill your calling? You know, and just
Be
doing what
my
we
brother.
can and praying for you. I'm in your corner. So,
Yeah.
well, I think we'll wrap it up here. I don't want to make this
This
go
is
on for too long because people might be intimidated by an hour long or more video,
oh,
but this is brilliant. Thank you for
you
your
edit what you
time.
need. Oh man, thank you. This has been fantastic. This has been what the Lord has a gift for at the time. So
Good.
glad to have met you, Daniel, and glad to have talk.
Yeah, you too.
I look forward to future encounter.
Yes.
All right.
Shalom, brother. Shalom.
Shalom, y'all.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.